I'm not gonna mute it. I'm not gonna turn that one. It's really passionate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you had your back to the door and I was like beating on it, trying to get you to open it.
He was like, is that Joey?
On it.
It's unmuted and it's recorded.
He get in here.
Kayla asked me to do it. Only for Kayla.
Thank you.
I wouldn't do it.
So kind of you, truly. It's nice to have backup.
Well, on yours. Use that too. It works really well. Yeah.
Joey said his already gave it. It's like my driveway. Cause I have to. Well.
I didn't let all check and see if they needed it.
So. I think I had.
Yeah.
It was nasty.
Had it full and turned.
Tax control. Haley, you ready?
Yes.
Special start this evening with the City of Centerton Planning Commission, February 7th, 2023, with a roll call.
Jeff Safar.
Here.
Brendan Swoboda.
Here.
Joey Engel. Devin Murphy.
Here.
Jerry Harris. Ben Lewis.
Here. All right, just note, John did tell me, I forgot, I don't think he sent you guys a note, but he's doing his military.
He did.
He's on that, so I wasn't sure if he told you guys, so. The first thing on the agenda this evening is the approval of the minutes from 1/17 of 2023.
17.
Second. In a second, is anyone opposed? All right, next on the agenda is the ratification of the admin approvals. There's one, it's a home occupation. It's a vending solutions, admin / office use only at their house. Any questions or comments from any of the commissioners? If there are not, then I would entertain a motion to approve the admin approvals.
I'll motion to approve the admin approvals.
I'll second. Motion is second. Is anyone opposed? All right, we do have, under new business this evening, we do have 3 public hearings. And so the first one is a conditional use 2214 for Schubert Mitchell model homes at Fox Haven. They're requesting lots 2, 15 through 17 and parking on lots 3, 4, and 18. The applicant is Schubert Mitchell. You guys want to come up and give us an overview of what you guys are wanting to do?
Good evening, Art Legal, Schubert Mitchell Homes. We're here to present this additional permit use. We want to do 4 model homes. There we go. We want to do 4 model homes on the east side right there, and then 1 model homes on the southwest side over there with asphalt parking on lot number 1 and 2, and then some gravel parking for staff on lot 5. And I believe that's 7 as well. I also have here Jeff Bragg, our general manager for mobile parking stuff, to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric, this is you. You want to give us a staff overview?
Yes. The applicant is requesting residential lots for use as a model home sales site. That includes 4 model homes, 1 workhouse, 2 gravel parking lots, 1 asphalt parking lot, using a total of 8 lots of the 18 buildable residential lots in Fox Haven. It is not stated the intent for the remaining lots were not stated. The conditional use would be a temporary duration of 5 years. The intent of these model homes is not limited to Fox Haven subdivision. They're showcasing products that can be found in other subdivisions owned by Schubert Mitchell. Fox Haven final plat was recently approved in October 4th, 2022. As of yet, there are no current houses on the site or in the subdivision. It's located on the south side of Bliss Street, west of Timber Ridge subdivision, and southwest of Morningside and Bliss Meadow subdivision, all of which in the area are R3 SF zoning. Going through the full purpose They propose to construct and fully furnish 4 model homes, showcase products. Visitors will be able to walk through the homes and get a feel for the different floor plans. Lot 6 will be used as a workhouse for the service team, which will be primarily used to store small inventories like caulking and other day-to-day products, such as marketing materials. A temporary asphalt parking lot will be constructed on lots 1 and 2 for future buyers and visitors. Lot 4 will be a gravel parking lot for staff, and lot 5 will be a gravel parking lot for overnight fleet parking. There will be a crosswalk from the asphalt parking lot to the driveway at lot 15. The duration is 5 years. All the model home garages will serve as a function. Areas where selections can be chosen, as well as meeting areas and temporary offices. Temporary entrance will be installed where the garage door would normally be for lot 15. On sale of the model home, the garage door would be installed. Additionally, an ADA bathroom would be installed in the single vehicle stall of the 3rd car garage lot of lot 17. The hours of operations would take place between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday, with closure on Sunday. Staff finds these hours to be suitable based on the proximity of the residential properties. There will be 9 to 12 individuals as office staff for the site. Both temporary asphalt parking lot and the temporary gravel parking lot will accommodate up to 20 cars. Lot 5 will be used for overnight parking of fleet vehicles. At the end of the use, the temporary parking lots will be restored to buildable lots with new homes being built. A sign will be erected near completion of the project to direct future home buyers to the location of the model homes per the signage code. The subdivision is located on Bliss Street, which is a 80-foot right of way designated as a major collector. And in terms of compatibility, the request is for the use of almost half of the single-family subdivision for commercial purposes for the operation of their marketing and construction personnel. Lots sold for residential home 7 through 12 would be at the back of the subdivision. Residents traveling through the model home workhouse development area. The request extends beyond the use of a model home for the purpose of selling homes within the subdivision and extends as a sales office for all subdivisions in their marketable area. So here the staff came up with the condition for consideration. The term of approval will be from the date of the planning commission approval or from the date of which the certificate of occupancy is issued. Storage of materials, they must be kept in the workhouse. No outside storage of materials and equipment. The hours of operation should take place between 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Landscaping requirements, street trees shown are proposed along Bliss Street as per the site plan. Typical tree planting requirements shall be per Centerton approved species at a minimum of wood shade tree per 20 linear feet of street frontage along all adjacent streets. Trees may be clustered approved. For screening, should be taken into consideration as well. Lighting in the parking lot will be required if the hours extend past sundown or change hours of operation depending on the season. Post hours in winter will extend past sundown. Sidewalks and crosswalks should be constructed in the location as shown on the site plan to accommodate pedestrian traffic, with sidewalks connecting from parking lot to the street crossing. All pedestrian walkways must be ADA compliant. A fire inspection is required to receiving the business license and occupancy. Applicant is encouraged to provide ADA accommodations. Owner will accept liability if non-compliant. Centerton business license will be required upon approval. An applicant shall be responsible for ensuring that Centerton noise ordinances are followed. Owner and applicant shall make application and obtain signage permit with the city of Centerton. Any additional signage will require a sign permit from Anthony Martinez, code enforcement officer. Any future modifications to the site may require separate review and approval of such plans and shall comply with the applicable sections of the city code chapters for zoning regulations and for development regulations as amended by these general requirements. This permit will be subject to review by city departments or code enforcement personnel for compliance should any issues arise which affect public health, safety, and welfare.
Well, I have one quick question. If they're really considering it an office versus, and I know we have one already, but they're considering an office, does it get treated any different than?
They'll be required to have a fire extinguisher and then the normal can't block exits and stuff like that, so. Anything great.
Arch, can you, are y'all gonna do like a basic landscape package in front of them, or how are y'all gonna treat them?
Yeah, so we'll do some landscaping in front of the houses, just like we do all of our model homes that you guys are familiar with. I also can answer some of those questions the staff had. You will let me by suffering like future use for the other lots. The division, may I do that? Yeah, can definitely talk into that because you have a bigger vision of this.
Jeff Bragg, Super Mitchell Homes. One of the questions was, one of the things that was commented that we would, pedestrians or people would be able to drive through that we were selling lots to, or actually this subdivision is going to be restricted for sale. We're not going to sell anything in it until we're done with the special use permit. One of the things I think we've learned over the last several years and in both cities that we've worked in and both areas is we want to make sure that we're really good neighbors. And I think the best way to do that is have a small area where we're not having to share space with home buyers in the same street. So that's one of the perks about having it here is not putting anything else for sale until the special use permit is up.
You're saying after the proposed duration of 5 years.
After the proposed duration, or if we were to decide to relocate, and we would convert everything back to residential and put everything up for sale whenever it was ready to go. Yeah.
How many showings do you guys normally do, or what do you anticipate on this little area?
Looking throughout the week, our Centerton office right now is fairly busy. I think it'll hold probably 16 vehicles right now. It's been pretty busy about every day. I'd say the parking lot is probably half full most of the day. Some days it's completely full. The weekends it's busy. But as far as showings go, what happens is there's just a lot of appointments that happen there. We do contracting. We also conduct closings there. And so several of the model homes will serve a purpose and kind of a broad range of the type of product that we're going to be selling. And then some of the offices will have, like they mentioned, will have a space to do selections with the home buyers. And so having that personal space, the way we kind of operate, what we do operation is having one-on-one conversations with people. So having a little bit of extra space in some of the other model homes to do that is super helpful for home buyers. So it'll be busy.
You guys are gonna leave the other ones open for now?
What we'll do,
Ready to close or?
we'll transition as soon as we're ready. We'll transition everything over there. I think our permit is coming due this year. Yeah.
I'm just curious, could you not expand the asphalt lot over to lot 3 and not have gravel parking?
Yeah, that was one of my questions. And then sidewalks. Are the only sidewalks proposed on the east side of Witten?
I think that's part of, yeah, yes, right now it is. The reason why the parking lot, I don't think we need as much space all the way, extending it all the way down to lot 3. And it's directly across from the three main, model homes where people are gonna be, trafficking the most. The other spaces, like the green spaces are gonna be maintained. We'll have those seated and they'll look nice. They'll look like green spaces instead of actual building lots. So
Public Works okay with the gravel? I mean, the 5-year duration on the gravel parking lot and it spilling out in the road, getting ran over. I think that's gonna beat up on the pavement a little bit.
So it's just for their fleet parking. It's not like the public will be in that.
But they're gonna
through.
I don't know if you've seen that one. They're there all day, every day on that, dude.
The other one is, that is part of what's on the 2-year existing performance bond. You can make it the condition that you carry that street bond until this use is done.
Or they can pave it.
It's already paved. Oh, pave that one lot.
You'd be opposed to that?
we'd have to talk about it. I mean, I'm not saying we'd be opposed to it. I'd have to. Yeah. So it's something we can definitely.
And then on the landscaping side of that, wait, I'm sorry, are you finished with that?
Shit. Yeah, if you're gonna talk about landscaping, go ahead.
Well,
Joey started
I
that.
should yield to the landscape, man.
All you, man.
So I think guys, I'm just confused on the landscaping just a little bit. So the landscaping that you guys are gonna do, is this the permanent landscaping or you're gonna pull this up later and do what needs to be done?
Some of if it's anything on green spaces that were, any kind of landscaping on green spaces that are on lots, they would be pulled up. But if it's on a model home or, maybe a, out there by the pond area, their detention pond, that stuff would be permanent. But anything that is going on onto a future building lot, it'll probably, unless it's in the front yard or something, we would probably pull it out later on.
And what about along Bliss?
It's like you
You got
got
some landscaping along Bliss?
it looks like they're showing 6 trees
The
up.
trees will be permanent. I think that's required.
My concern is the adjacent residential house to the west of the parking lot. That's not so much a residential use anymore, a parking lot. Maybe some screening on that.
Again, we already talked to those neighbors, and we had a meeting with them, and they are fine with that as well. So we already talked to them
They're fine with what?
with us having a parking over there. We showed them the plans.
Got anything?
I mean, we can put a fence, yeah, we can put a fence in there. They already have an existing fence that goes almost to the middle of lot number 2. And we are fine with finishing out that fence all the way through to the detention pond.
And does the fence continue around the corner to the?
Yeah, the existing fence.
5 and 6?
Yeah, so the existing fence goes, you can go to the aerial that you have over there. Goes from like the middle of lot number 2 all the way south and then west to lot 6. Yes, and we're also proposing to do fencing behind all the model homes as well to make sure that those neighbors also have, we don't have anything going on over there. The other good thing about this is since this is gonna be closed every time at 6, there shouldn't be anything past 6 p.m. on this as well. So we will do the privacy fence all the way along the east property line as well behind those model homes.
There's something about lighting. What have you guys looked at for that?
That's actually something that's new. We are willing to, do whatever we need to do for that.
The concern was, especially in the winter, after hours, is there anything proposed for employee lighting, or will your hours change between the summer and the winter seasons?
So you're probably talking about after 5 p.m. on winter is dark, right? We can work that out.
Okay, and I didn't know if your hours may be longer during the summer. They're the
They're
same.
all the same. We're consistent on that.
And one thing, while we're talking about the parking. It was said that both parking lots. The asphalt and the gravel lots would accommodate up to 20 cars. Vehicles, but there's much more already shown on lots 1 and 2, the asphalt, there's more shown.
I believe,
That's,
once we made this, we wanted to, just talk about the asphalt one.
22.
okay, I just, want that way we can compare notes
We were actually talking about the asphalt one, not the
Okay.
gravel one.
already.
That was gonna be that big. That's a pretty big area in the middle for turning around. You could probably shrink that up quite a bit.
There's about 26 spots on a quick count. The asphalt lot. On a super quick. count.
I was saying we're way over on just asphalt, so. And then. Can I ask another question? On the okay, the parking. I mean, from the parking lot to the office. What are you planning on doing between the parking lot? And the crosswalk as far as ADA accessible? Or are you planning on a different space being designated in the driveway for ADA compliance?
So, that's a great question. We can. We'll have to look at that,
Okay.
because actually this is the first time we do parking
We don't want going off the curb.
in front of.
Marine, tying into that, I really think it's beneficial to have parking down the west side of Witten, wrapping back to the west on the north side of Box Haven, just to convey pedestrian traffic. You know, that's their parking down there. Obviously, they're gonna have to get around. At a bare minimum, I think you need sidewalk in front of the asphalt parking.
We would what we've done, what we did at our current model home, we actually built the approach, had it inspected and everything, connected the asphalt parking lot to that. And we connected the sidewalk with the rest of the neighborhood. So something like that would be fairly simple. That's probably how we would want to put in the approach to the side, to the parking area anyway. And when you do that, we have to have sidewalk.
Right.
So that we would just extend the sidewalk out, probably at least, I think that we'd probably extend the sidewalk at least down to where the staff parking is at. I think that would be the right thing to do, and then all the way up to through lot 1.
Yeah.
Well,
It's on the same side up here, though, so it's a little different scenario. You're not asking people to cross the street up here. It's a little easier, so I think the biggest thing is protecting, obviously, the people that are walking from either side. They have to cross where traffic is entering and leaving. So somehow that needs to be,
Yeah, I think 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is what you just said, I believe, should have probably sidewalk.
and then an 88 decibel crossing as well.
You'd have to do that anyway.
so the parking. I mean, I guess there's probably at least one, if not two, handicap type spots over there. Or not worry about getting that detail.
If they do a parking lot, they should, it's, that'll be 2.
We have them at our other offices.
Well, it's 1 per 25 spaces.
So
There's 25.
I've been in the game for a minute.
So did we answer the question on lighting? Is the parking lot gonna have any kind of lighting to it?
Mine at right now.
So there's,
Or even the neighborhood, is it gonna?
there's
Street lights.
there's a pole in front of the retention pond and another pole right in between lots.
Say that again?
There's a light pole in front of the detention pond, and then that one over there between lot 2 and 3. Right now, but that's just for the subdivision.
The hope would be to make sure that the crosswalk itself is illuminated.
We can definitely look at options of our, lighting over there that. We don't want to do something too permanent because at the end of the day, in a few years, 5 years, we wanna convert this back, but we are definitely open to do some temporary lighting over there for the crosswalk.
And is there one by the staff parking off of South David Road?
I believe so. I'll have to look at the infrastructure plans.
Maybe, yeah, maybe we can update this. For that lighting. And then. There's a power pole right there.
So then, yes.
On there. On every lot.
Not on
Okay,
every
you're
lot.
seeing, okay, between the sidewalk and the.
Yeah. I'm just saying like where light poles are already in the subdivision.
All right, let's go ahead and open it up to the public. Thank you. So with that, I'd entertain a motion to open the public hearing for the conditional use 2214.
This Tony, I make a motion to open up the public hearing for CU 14.
Mr. Second. Motion and a second. Is anyone opposed? We are now open to the public. If anyone wishes to speak, have any questions, comments, we'd ask that you come to the podium. We do ask that you state your name and your address, and then any questions or concerns that you might have.
Name is Tom Sharp. I live at 430 Keller Road. My property is on the south side of their property. They do not know how to use a fence line that's been there for years and years. And that is the property line. They keep coming over in my field and putting their stakes up. And I'm getting tired of it. Now, what are y'all gonna do about that? Along with they have in not the first one down at the bottom, but the second one, they've still got a pile of trash that's been there for 2 years now. And they won't clean, they don't want to clean it up.
I'm not sure there's anything that we can necessarily do about it, except now it's noted.
Well, they said they wasn't gonna put that home in at first for another 2 to 3 years when they first got their permit to redo their subdivision there. Then, after they built the house and everything, now they're sectioning it off to build a lot of homes in there, which I have no control over that. But I want them to stay on their side of the property line, not on mine. And whenever they are telling you one thing, they are not following through with that. They're doing something else altogether. And I'm tired of it.
I'll talk to him and understand.
Just for the record, we didn't develop this. Sugar Mitchell Homes didn't develop this. We bought finished lots here from the developer. So this is the first time I hear about it. I apologize.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, I'll
I can't-
address him after the meeting.
So
Yeah, so just for the record, we didn't develop this. Thank you.
Can you clean the trash up? Obviously, you're gonna do that anyway, but can you clean the trash up?
We can definitely look into that for sure. Yes.
is there anyone else that wishes to speak, have any questions or comments? And we'll do a third and final call.
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Joey, a second.
Motion and a second to close the public hearing. Is there anyone that's opposed? All right, so we talked about the landscape. We talked about the sidewalk. We're rearranging on a parking lot, I believe, to make sure it's designated as it should be. Is there anybody that's opposed to the 5 years? Again, that would be the maximum.
Do you anticipate it going the full 5?
I hope so. Yes, we really love officing out here, out of Centerton. It's where we build most of our homes in Northwest Arkansas, in this area, and in order to find another model home complex, you have to start very early to do that. So in Orchard Park, our model home complex has been really nice, but I think it was 3-year and it came really quick. And in order to start planning, you got to start planning almost as soon as you start using it in order to get another one opened up. So yeah, I think 5 years is hopefully that'll be what we'll do that. Maybe a little bit less than that, but it gives us a little bit more cushion just in case we find something else. So I hope that answers your question. Yep.
Any other questions or comments from any of the commissioners?
Do you think 5 years from today?
That was one of the questions on the terms. Is it from this date of this approval?
Yes.
We talked about paving the parking lot.
Are you guys gonna be okay paving forward?
Yes.
And 5, 4 and 5.
What is that overnight?
Both overnight.
Yeah.
Staff parking.
Talking about that area. And I don't know if we can combine them to make it work, but I just think a 5-year term is a pretty good investment on both. Part.
Yeah, it actually does make sense because we'll have to put an approach there
Right.
anyway, so we'll have to connect it with the sidewalk. So yes, that makes sense.
So what for impact? Well, 4 and 5 will be. Hey. Okay.
Alan, it looks like they're within the building setback. I don't know that there's any detention.
The detention is,
Well, I know, but it wasn't sized for parking lots, expansive parking lots, but like I said, I think it's within the setback. So it's where a home would be anyway. Are you good with that?
yeah, when you think right now, they will remove the parking lots when the rest of the development builds. I don't know if you want to make that a condition too, is that they won't build the other homes until they stop, running it as an office.
I
What they stated their intent and goal is, but
feel like that's on them. To me. If somebody wants to buy that house while it's still a model home.
I'd say I'm not overly concerned with the drainage on it, but I think it might be an issue. It's an easy way to not have that come to fruition.
Use- keep
To
the
just say that they,
parking Spaces within the setback.
well, no, if they're, but if they're going to try to utilize it and build the rest of it out, the extra area isn't paved.
So are you saying that we need to put a condition in there that says before they can build any more than these 4 model homes, they have to remove those?
I'm not worried about it. That's what his question was. I don't see it being an issue.
Yeah, I don't think I'm worried about it.
Okay, can we go back to the landscaping just to clarify? They'll have landscaping around the model homes. They have the adjacent Cliff Street trees, anything on the detention lot, or I know it's hard, it'd be difficult to put anything on the other lots because when they build, they'll just get torn out.
I don't think
And
anything
the
on,
detention would be a more permanent,
I don't think so.
you won't ever have anything on the detention if you don't do it now.
Do we have something? Do we have a requirement for that?
No, because of mowing and other stuff, right? I mean, haven't we got away from that? I thought we got away from the trees on the detention ponds. We not?
They never required since I've been here. But it's just one of those things,
Elusive.
putting them in.
Instead of elusive, do we maintain it? Do they maintain it? They have the street trees along the frontage from the right of way. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so.
We'll work on it.
I would say, I would like to note that if the. We can review the conditional use at any time, but if the noise, the lights. Anything from the neighbors were to happen, we might have to add some additional screening just to. Give them their peace and quiet as much as you can. I know you said you talked to them, but things can change, and I see they got a nice pool in their backyard and yeah, I can understand that.
The only other thing I was gonna say is the fence, we talked about, make sure the conditions of fence built on that east and west property lines.
And that fence is going from lot 1 all the way around to lot 6, but it's not going in front of the, on the detention pond side, right?
Correct. Yeah, it's not.
Then also behind
And also we.
13 to 18.
Right.
Where the
Okay,
homes
thank
are
you.
at.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else from any of the commissioners? If not, then I would entertain a motion for conditional use 2214, the Schubert Mitchell Model Home. Again, slots 2, 15 through 17, and parking lots 3, 4, and 18.
This is Joey. I'll make a motion to approve conditional use 2214 with the items that we just went over for a 5-year period.
This has been, I'll second.
A motion and a second. Caleb, if you'll do a roll call for me, please.
Joey Engel,
Yes.
Brandon Swoboda,
Yes.
Jerry Harris,
Yes.
Ben Lewis, Devin Murphy,
Yes.
Tony Davis,
Yes.
Jeff Safar.
Yes. Guys. All right, next on the agenda this evening is also a public hearing. This is for moving permits for, I'll probably say it wrong, but Paramedi structure for number 1. That's a 14 by 60 mobile home at 7888 Vaughn Road. It is zoned A1 and it's 20 acres. And is the applicant here to give us an overview? What you're requesting?
Sir, I'm planning to bring two mobile homes and trying to remodel the homes and give it for plant ornamental. And maybe down the line after 2 to 3 years, it's like once I'm comfortable with the market is up, then we might start development. But until then, I want to keep mobile homes.
Donna or Diane, this is you.
You're trying to conjure up Donna again. I know we miss her. Yes. Paramedi. Hopefully I don't butcher your name every time I've said it. Is requesting to move for this particular permit. There are 2. There's moving structure 1 and 2. So he's wanting to move 2 onto the 20-acre property on Vaughn Road. This particular one is coming from Prairie Grove, Arkansas, and it is 14 feet by 60 feet. As you guys stated, it is zoned A1, and there is currently a single-family home on the property, and manufactured homes are permitted in A1 by right. The property owner is proposing adding the 2, and there's a concurrent moving. I'm already repeating myself here. Like I said, there are 2. This is for the first one. The property owner has already been in contact with a licensed, bonded, and insured manufactured home moving company. And he is proposing using the current septic system from the existing house. This feasibility would of course need to be determined by the Department of Health, and one of the comments the building had was that there would need to be septics for each proposed move-in unit moved in, and have separate foundations, and of course, need to be secured per the manufacturer document. And any structural changes through interior wiring or plumbing required renders the HUD stamp invalid, and would require compliance with all current codes. And I have included photos, no, granted they're not the quality of photos of the manufactured home that he is looking at. And then here is the second one. Of course, we haven't been out there to look at them because obviously they're not located here within the city of Centerton. But the structures will need to meet current city fire codes and building codes. Before any certificate of occupancy is issued. And this permit does not indicate that the manufactured homes are approved for habitation. I mean, because we don't know, we just have a photo. And they're requesting that one of the conditions that if for some reason fire and building does not deem them inhabitable, that they are removed from the property within 60 days if they are deemed uninhabitable. But like I said, you will need to go through, especially Arkansas Department of Health. Typically, they're not going to allow you, and I did mention it to you when we spoke, that more than likely you're not able to use the same septic, but that'll be something you'd have to talk to
Yes, madam.
Department of Health.
I talked to Arkansas Department, Rebecca Corbett.
Mhm.
She is the septic authorized designer.
Mhm.
So she told once city approves, I can call back her and she will do the design.
She hasn't done the design yet. She wants us to approve it first, is what you're saying, right?
Moving permit, once we got moving permit, then I will get the septic tank design. And after that, I will apply for buildings, livable conditions, will make sure. Then
But each home will be on their own septic. Is, okay, you won't be allowed to share septic system,
okay.
correct? Did he say? Because that's.
What I thought is, I can thought of using existing septic, but as per our guidelines, right? So we will, first I need to get Arkansas Department of Health, their permission. So she will design, and if she, whatever, the city and Department of Health, if we need to have one septic tank for each home, then I will make sure each septic tank is available, then only I will apply for living permit.
How long is the moving permit good for? You know?
You can set that, there's no specific timeline in the code as far as how long moving permits.
I'm just wondering if we're moving the houses and then doing the septic design, or if we're gonna do the septic design first, get approval and then move homes.
What they said is, once city approves, then I need to call like immediately, next day. To get the design and then move the houses.
So you're gonna get septic approval first before we move anything in?
Yes.
That was gonna be mine.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would wanna move just without approval for PH.
I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, so as part of the approval, we would put a stipulation on there that the septic must be approved before the permit is actually valid.
and I mean, it's 20 acres. I think they're gonna find somewhere to put 2 septic fields, but regardless, I think it's in our best interest to have that stipulation.
Are there any other questions before we open it up to the public? If not, then I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing for moving permit 2204.
Motion to open the public hearing for moving 2204.
Second.
Motion and second. Is anyone opposed? We're now open to the public. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak in regards to the moving permit 2204? Second call for anyone that wishes to speak. Third and final call.
I'll motion to approve to close the public hearing.
Joey, a second.
The motion to close public hearing in a second. Is anyone opposed? All right, are there any other questions or comments from any of the commissioners or staff?
I have one question. So on manufactured homes are permitted in A1 by right. Does it say how many per acre or anything of that nature? Just curious.
Just that they're permitted.
No,
It just said that they're permitted. It doesn't say how many.
no, but in the agricultural zone, there's a limit on how many homes are allowed.
It's like 1 per 5, right?
1 per 10, I believe.
Or is it?
Bring the whole thing.
One to five.
I look at mine most times. Let's see.
Might have changed it to 10.
Well, yes.
A1 is look at the back.
The questions are really nice.
Flip 2 pages for a minute.
He's using Google.
I'm sitting by the
He's down there Googling to get the question.
I am.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Agriculture. The minimum area for dwelling and agriculture related buildings shall be 10 acres. That just says how many acres it has to be. I don't see anything specific on the number of homes that can be on there. I mean, it does say just the minimum area for dwelling and agriculture related buildings shall be 10 acres, but that's typically what minimums for it to be zoned. Agriculture.
We know.
How do you take that?
I know, and the only exception is the 5 acre.
Any other questions or comments? You understand that it has to be inhabitable. You understand all that, working with the city.
Yes, yeah. Once next step is work with septic tank. And then once we got the design again, I will come back. We'll submit those designs, then next step, move the house, then work with city building permits. So that everything is good. And then,
That's where the fire, their other requirement is that they not be any closer than 10 feet. So make it a condo.
So we have the septic approval before the moving permit's granted, correct? There's one stipulation.
What about the water connection? What's the utility for water?
I mean, they won't issue the permit if it's not,
Habitable.
yeah.
So you have, okay. Ready.
So if there's no other questions or comments,
You guys had one other condition you guys wanted to talk about, or if they can't, if it's inhabitable, it needs to be removed within 50 days.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
all right, if there's no other questions or comments, I would entertain a motion for the moving permit 2204.
Tony, I make a motion to approve moving 2204 with the conditions that it must have Department of Health approval for the septic before structures are to be placed. And that the structure shall be deemed habitable by the fire department. Gary, I'll second.
And it would be removed within 60 days.
Days, if not, yeah.
We have a motion and we have a second. Caleb, if you'll do a roll call for me, please.
Devin Murphy,
Yes.
Tony Davis.
Yes.
Joey Engel.
Yes.
Brandon Swoboda,
Yes.
Gary Harris,
Yes.
Ben Lewis. Jeff Safarth,
Yes. All right, next on the agenda is also public hearing. This is for moving permit 2205. Same address. This is structure number 2. This one is a 14 by 70 mobile home. Same address of 788 on road. So with this one, we would put the same stipulations. Do you guys agree?
Yes.
60 days and Department of Health septic approval before. Diane, is there anything different in this one other than the location where it's coming from?
This one's coming from Shell Knob, Missouri. Wherever that may be. And. Just the photos of the big one. Sorry for making everyone on. Growing. Here, this one. It's in Shell Knob, Missouri.
Okay.
Other than that, it's
Are there any other questions or comments from any of the commissioners before we open up to the public?
Now, this, of course, would make it, Lorraine and I were talking, there's already one structure that's habitable there that I believe is being used for rental currently. And then we're adding the 2 manufactured homes. Also, no, it is 20 acres.
So,
And there is that ADU exception that would allow an accessory dwelling on that 10 acres. Also. Out there. And then I'll throw it to the attorney. Now what?
Technically, it's 20, right?
It's 20 acres.
It's not split.
Right.
So you could only have one.
One ADU. So
so we just approved that there is one. Right?
Now, so now you've approved.
So now we're questioning. This is the
There's
second,
an existing home,
correct? And then there's a.
the one that
second
we just talked
approved,
about, and
the
now
first one.
this is number 3.
And is there also to be able to use them as rental properties? Is there any kind of,
there's nothing regarding rental.
No.
No.
so no licensing or anything of that, they don't have to get permits or anything of that nature?
No, we don't have any of this.
So all 3 homes will have separate sewer systems.
We don't know that
We
yet.
don't know that yet.
Yeah, we don't know that because it'll be,
That's on the health department to
Oh, okay.
approve.
And to what extent, repairs will happen, we don't know. Either, I mean, from the outside, they don't look like they've been terribly well maintained, but they may be the Taj Mahal inside.
Lorraine, could this be considered an ADU?
Well, that's what I was looking at. If you have one unit, one home per 10 acres, that 2 homes. It's kind of stretching it. We typically look at it because if you have an agricultural property, you would have 1 home. And then you can request conditional use for an ADU. That's typical. Outside of typical. Well, what I think that the city does not want is this becoming
Right.
a developed, or an undeveloped area full of rental trailers.
At what point do we, as a city, do we start defining if there's more than one mobile home property? Or does it become a mobile home subdivision or park?
well, it's structures, right? I mean, if there's so many structures, then we start getting into the subdivision rule,
Well,
I
correct?
would say if it's over the allowable structures per lot, then it.
Yeah.
I thought it was written in there because I know we've had 1 or 2 that when we got to like 4 or 5, we went to the subdivision rules, did we not?
Well,
Before it goes subdivision, that's for tracks
Select tracts.
if it's, if it's,
and you're subdividing property. Once it's full. An A1, the minimum A1, I think is 5 acres for a lot, if you want to track split it.
Yeah, and typically we kind of look, what we used to do is look at this like 2 single-family dwellings. You know, it's not permitted in A1, but you are allowed a dwelling plus an accessory living unit. So that would be the 2.
But that requires a conditional use.
It does require. Well, no, it's
No,
permitted.
it's permitted.
Permitted? Okay.
It is permanent.
That's-
One.
So with their schedule of uses, I can see one, it's just, hey, we've got. Per code, 1 per 10 acres, but this one has 40 acres, are you gonna allow 4 homes on it? There needs to be some.
There's no.
What's your opinion?
Accessory dwelling. One or more than one.
I'm hesitant on opening the door to it. I mean, it seems like traditionally we would prefer the split. And that might be what truly would need to happen here, and that would have to happen first.
In order.
I just think it's opening the door. It's gray, but I think as soon as we do it, we're gonna have something on our hands, and we probably need to have an ordinance to amend our code to make that a little more clear. But at this point, I think there's justifiable reason within our code not to grant it.
So we can table, we can approve, or we can deny. If we deny, is there any, I know we always go back and forth on.
I'm not aware of any
It's a conditional use.
on a moving permit. I mean, just zoning, yes, but I mean, I don't think it is.
But if he did a track split, then it would be a different address he's moving it to.
Then they would need to do a track split.
Prior
and then
to.
Come back
Right.
and request. Well, actually, if they did a track split, they would be allowed to move something onto that. It would not even, I mean, if it's a manufactured home, that is a moving permit, so they would need the moving permit. But nothing other than.
I'm gonna finish the public hearing and then we'll take a vote from there, okay? So I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Tony, I make a motion to open the public hearing on move 22-05.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there anyone opposed? Is there anyone from the audience that wishes to speak in regards to this moving permit? Second call. And third and final call for anyone who wishes to speak in regards to the moving permit.
This is Joey. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Ben, I'll second.
Motion to close the public hearing in a second. Is there anyone that's opposed? You guys feelings that you guys would rather table this, deny it, any opinions?
If we
Definitely take.
table for sure, yeah, and I'm wondering if he comes back as a track split, if this was tabled, he wouldn't have to submit another moving permit, pay another fee, right? It would be a different address though.
So there could potentially be different notification, probably not, but there could be, and there shouldn't be different notification because it's all the same, right? There wasn't anyone from the public, so, we don't have to worry about, if we're gonna change this in the future, just talking out loud, which is always a concern from people. So I'm not opposed to tabling it. But certainly when, consensus amongst the group.
I think that's the.
What's the benefit of denying it for the owner? Is it just
don't-
clear the slate and then he
think
can just
it is.
start? Okay. I'm wondering for him, what would be
I
easiest?
think tabling it might be the best option because then maybe there's some portion of this he can reuse. In the future.
Is it tabled indefinite?
It is on.
Yes.
You're giving the legal
We-
description, correct? You're not giving an address when you provide notice?
It is an address and
Because that would be my concern with when it does come back. Now have we failed the notice requirements because it is a different address.
because the notice.
Right.
I guess, I understand the desire to table. I think I would probably be in favor of denying at this point, because I do think it's gonna he's gonna have to start over. He's gotta get the track split, he's gotta get a new address, gotta inform the neighbors as well. Would it also benefit the staff in any way?
It is easier on us.
Can-
If we don't have to hang on to this and no telling, you know,
Yeah.
if this comes back a year later. Then it's much easier if you just resubmit.
What's
Because
the,
there may be requirements that change and so forth.
In addition, if you're tabling it, I would prefer that you pick a date you're tabling it to, which I don't know that you're ready to do at this point, right?
That's the other concern.
So let me, I do want to be fair to the applicants. You have a preference over one of the moving permits versus the other one, if this one gets denied?
Sure, that's a good question.
Maybe I think I will go this one.
You would rather have this one than the other one?
Yeah, this one is a good house.
It's a larger home, yeah.
So
can we do that?
Can we do that though?
It's the same address.
So we need,
Permit is the same address, correct?
but the,
so we need to go back and amend it as.
I think you could go back to, to the item. Is it B, right?
Yeah.
And open that back up for, and basically just quickly go through public hearing and whatnot, and then amend your vote.
okay,
Do we have to go through the public hearing?
Well, I think they're gonna say public hearing and then close it. because
we'll do that, but so you would rather have this one than the other one, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And sir, and do you understand everything that we're talking about and
Not much, but actually you guys are preferring to have only one home.
So-
I just want to make sure he understands.
One structure and one additional dwelling unit. is What's allowed. And so that's the reason that only one will most likely get approved, because we've only taken a vote for one. We're getting ready to take a vote for the second one, but because of that, we're also allowing you the opportunity to choose which one.
Okay.
Understanding this, the permit will still be the same as far as the requirements.
So for the. So I cannot apply further anymore, like second home.
Not without splitting the land. So and that would be a minimum of 5 acres, if I remember correctly, right? So agriculture is a minimum of 5 acres, so there would have to be a track split process that you would need to go through and split the land in order to have more than 2 dwelling units in a agricultural lot.
Okay, so,
There's some other things that go with that, so think about septic.
yeah,
You wouldn't want it to cross, I mean, there's all other kinds of things, step back, so just don't go do that without some advice,
okay,
is what I would say.
so yeah, then what I will do is first move one home, whatever, then if everything good, then maybe down. I don't know.
So you prefer this one?
Yes.
Okay. So with that, then I would still entertain a motion, and then we will go back to B and we will reopen B. And E will be denied, and we'll move with this one that will most likely get approved. Is that clear?
Did they have to table this one and then go back?
I think that'd be.
Around and go back?
Yeah, I truly, I would prefer to go in the order of the agenda and maybe table this for 5 minutes. Open the previous item of business, open, and then revisit this. That's more clear to me. I don't know if it is to everybody else.
I don't have my Roberts rules with me, so Brandon probably knows he's. So with that, I would entertain a motion to table the moving permit 2205.
This is Jerry, so move.
Joey second.
Is there anyone opposed to tabling? Okay. Now we're going to go back and we're going to reopen public hearing for moving permit 2204. This is structure number one, which is a 14 by 60, same address, 788 Vaughn Road. This is, go ahead.
This is Joey. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for MOV 2204.
Second.
Motion and second. Is anyone opposed? We're now reopened to the public for moving permit 2204. If there's anyone that wishes to speak. Second call, just to speak. And third and final call for anyone who wishes to speak in regards to moving permit 2204. I would now entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
A motion to close the public hearing.
Joey, a second.
Motion and second. Is anyone opposed? Now, based on the facts that were presented before us in regards to the structure that exists, along with the ability to put one additional dwelling unit and the applicant's desire to have a different structure that's available on the property, and I guess we will rescind the vote. And we will take a revote for moving permit 2204. So I would entertain a motion to open the, or to entertain a motion for 2204.
This is Joey. I'll make a motion to approve MOV 2204, 7888 Vaughn Road.
This is Ben, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Caleb, if you would do a roll call for me, please.
Tony Davis,
Yes.
Now, remember, we're doing the opposite.
I know.
You're still for this one.
Oh,
You have to approve.
okay, so,
We have to do a positive vote.
Positive, and then you.
okay, so we're still on C, okay. No,
We're on B,
We're on B.
but the motion was to approve it.
okay, no, I'm with you. All right.
Good, you can.
I thought we were approving to move 14 by 70 into. B.
No.
The bill.
Right. All right. Are you yes or no, Tony?
No.
All right.
Influence his vote.
Sorry.
70 is C.
Yes,
That's where it's.
which we're gonna go back to.
And
okay, Devin Murphy,
No.
Joey Engel.
No.
Brandon Swoboda,
No.
Barry Harris,
No.
Ben Lewis,
No.
Jeff Safar.
No. All right, we'll blame Brian for that because he wants them all in the positive.
I wasn't here,
It's even more
so.
confusing if you don't do that.
All right,
Okay.
so
I know.
now I would like to entertain a motion to reintroduce moving permit 2205.
Okay,
I'll motion to reopen moving permit 2205.
Here, a second.
Motion in a second. Is anyone opposed? All right, so we are now considering item C, which is moving permit 2205, the 14 by 70. Mobile home at 788 Vaughn Road. Again, with the same stipulations. If not habitable by 60 days, it should be removed, and the moving permit will not be granted until the septic has been approved by the Department of Health. I will go ahead and entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
This is Joey. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for moving 2205.
Second.
Motion and second. Is anyone opposed? We're now open to a public hearing. If there's anyone that wishes to speak in regards to 2205, the moving permit. Second call. And third and final call. And I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Yeah, second.
Motion and second. Is anyone opposed? Joey.
Joey, it was Ben Lewis and
Oh,
Joey.
I ran off my paper.
They did opposite of what they did the first time.
So now I would like to entertain a motion for moving permit 2205. Devin made a motion. Is there a second?
This is Joey. I'll second.
Motion and a second for moving permit 2205. Caleb, if you'll do a roll call for me, please.
Lee Davis,
Yes.
Devin Murphy,
Yes.
Joey Engel,
Yes.
Brandon Swoboda,
Yes.
Mary Harris, Shane Lewis, Jeff Safarth.
Yes.
Okay,
All right, I think we got that cleared up.
Sorry for the confusion.
Good luck
but
with the minutes.
I know.
Thank goodness it's recorded and
I
there's.
feel like this
Taking notes.
pause.
There's Todd when he needed.
He's listening, actually, so.
Kalen is pretty darn smart. so.
Thank you and good luck. Be sure you use the staff if you need resource, okay?
Oh, sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda this evening is subdivision 2018 Timber Ridge Phase 2 final plat. This is Timber Ridge and Steep Row Drive. It is zoned R3 single family, 22.58 acres, 51 lots. The owner is Schubert Mitchell, and they're requesting final plat and bonds. How are you tonight?
Great, how are you?
A little better now. I think we're on the right track, so.
My name is Michael Berry with Schubert Mitchell Homes, here to present Timber Ridge subdivision phase 2, final plat. It is in accordance with the preliminary plat, and myself and the engineer of record for 3040 are here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Eric, this is you.
Yes, applicants, final plat and record drawings for phase 2 of Timber Ridge subdivision. There are 6 single-family lots on a 22.58 acre parcel. That comes to about 2.6 units per acre. The parcel is located south of Timber Ridge Phase 1. At the end of Timber Ridge Street. The parcel is located also adjacent to the Center Point subdivision. Various other parcels north and, or sorry, various other subdivisions north and south of the subject property. For right-of-way dedications, it doesn't connect to any major thoroughfares as of yet. Steep Road Drive is proposed to extend onto Centerton Boulevard sometime in the future. Steep Road Drive will be constructed as a collector and will be put right of way. And then dedicated to the south of the property line. It stubs out from the south of Harris Street intersection and extends to existing Steep Road Drive. It includes 10 feet sidewalks on both sides with curbs. Pavement is 26 feet from the back of curb to back of curb with curb and gutter, drainage utility and drainage utility easements shown Burlington. Zoning density is approximately 2.48 units per acre. Subdivision has access to sanitary sewer water services. Road connection to public water is on the southern end of Timber Ridge Drive. And an existing sewer line runs from the north along Timber Ridge Drive as well as from the southeast and southwest. Having a junction right on Emerson Drive. Is not, the property does not appear to be within a designated floodplain. It does, however, was lying upon Little Osage Creek. As a designated riverine. Access to Timber Ridge Phase 2 will be coming from Timber Ridge Drive and Steep Road Drive. There is a hammerhead for there's a hammerhead turnaround for fire trucks at the east end of Ari Drive. And then Steep Road Drive is planned to extend all the way to 102 with future developments. There is one detention pond on site that drains into Little Osage Creek. And then there are remaining punch list items on the final inspection, most of which are minor and will not include a second inspection. As well as one minor comment remaining on the covenants final plat and the lines.
Question. The property to the east, it looks like they're dedicating a access easement with this plat on a offsite property.
Yes, that's what we're doing.
How do you do that? I've never seen that happen.
Well, it's an access easement that defined any other property, but it will be eliminated when the future property develops. So on that subdivision, we could vacate.
I get the point of the access easement and when it's vacated, but that's not part of the parent tract of this,
Or it's offsite easement.
right? Typically, those are dedicated by separate document, correct?
Well,
How is the owner gonna dedicate that on this final plat? Not the owner of the subdivision, but the owner of that property. That's like me being your neighbor.
when we do that final plat, you're saying?
They are the same.
They're one and the same right now.
They're the same owners right now.
Okay,
Yeah, so with the future,
are you guys okay with them dedicating an offsite easement with a plat? Or that's not part of that parent tract?
My goodness, they're doing that.
Say it again.
A property owner owns both properties. Can they dedicate an access easement on the adjacent property with this final plat?
But this plat doesn't cover that property.
This is the plat.
It's an offsite
This is
access.
the adjacent property.
They'd have to grant on the other plan. On the.
Or a separate document,
Right.
right?
I see what you're saying.
See what I'm saying?
It needs to be from that piece, that piece is not part of this. plat.
Exactly.
So,
It's like if I was your neighbor and drew an easement
a separate document.
and, yeah.
It is, yeah, you're right, that a lot of access easements offsite. Then we
I
do.
think the easiest way to do it is to write the description in a separate.
it's a separate document, but it's not how this document needs to be vacated when that subdivision.
I've never seen an automatically vacated easement.
That's what we did
Well,
on the plat.
do it on a separate document if you think it'll fly.
Again, then how do we vacate it?
How are you gonna vacate it on the plat?
Because it's noted on the plat. It was
Noted in an exhibit on your separate document if you think that's legal.
I'll look into this, see what they're.
I would just make sure they're okay with it, but I would just say get it on a separate document, list the record information on the final plat. And then that way they're tied together. And when you pull the plat, you know there's an access easement.
Yeah.
The goal is there is a subdivision going in over here that's currently being constructed that they're gonna have a stub out. They don't need a turnaround, but a stub out there to connect
Sure.
RA all the way across.
How about,
Now, when you do a final plat for the other one, you might, if they let you I think. Seriously, let you vacate an easement with a plat, is that right?
well, let me just say this, that the reason for that access easement is only that hammerhead.
Right.
So if we completely forget about an access easement and we just have a use agreement signed by that owner that says for the time that hammerhead exists on the property, they would have access to use it, the fire truck could turn around. And then that way, once it's eliminated, the use agreement dissolves anyway.
I wouldn't go for that because then there's nothing on paper giving fire department access to that.
Well, it does because there's a use agreement.
That's kind of an abstract way to do that, but where I was going is. If they'll let you vacate an easement on a final plat. When the other parcel is platted, you could just vacate the
That's
easement.
what the intent was here.
Yeah.
That was what we were proposing here.
As long as it is not dedicated to the public. If it's dedicated to the public, then you have to go through the vacation process. Because it is a public easement.
Is that not dedicated to the public?
That it would be vacating as, it's, and maybe that would be done as part of the future subdivision, that at the same time, that there would be a specific vacationing for the easement. But it's just noted that it's understood that that easement could be vacated in the future.
I've never seen that on an easement before.
I don't know how else to do it, but I'm open to.
I think it would be. Vacated on the plat because there's no, it's noted to be vacated when there's
Right.
right away, right? So there's no other right of way until that property is platted.
Exactly.
And then that goes, and then that can go away, but I think you'd have to call it out to be vacated per plat on the next one.
We've done this with offsite sewer easements, so I don't know how.
That's not a good idea.
Greenside was done that way until space was platted.
I don't think it's in the city's best interest to do that. I think this is an easy fix, and I think it's an easy easement to get away from.
What would be the easy fix?
You write a separate document, get the easement filed, and then list the record information on your final plat.
Okay, so how do we vacate that easement document?
Just like you said there, when you final plat that other property, then you can vacate that easement, which is what you're proposing right now.
So the easement grantee would be the city, then it would be easement to the city.
That's up to fire department and staff, depending on how they want to see that.
Well, we can do a separate document. I'm just wanting to make sure, you know, there's a way we can vacate it when that right of way gets dedicated in the future, and then it's noted on this plat that that would be vacated.
Again, I don't know if it's automatic. That's a legal thing.
Well, it would be done on that future plat. It would be
Right.
shown.
If they let you, not everybody lets you vacate easements with plats.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So you might have to vacate the easement.
We do that sometimes. It can be done.
Other cities allow it, but if it is given to the public, then we have to go through the vacation process. But, and you can do that prior to the final plat and then.
They just do it as like a private,
It's not a private
It's
easement.
not private though.
I know, it's
Yeah, the problem.
Yeah.
just running things through my head.
Let me ask you, what about just doing?
No, in fact, I was gonna suggest he, just be
Fire
fired,
to
council. Who might be able to come up with.
3 points of,
It's too long.
I think
It's over the certain distance because they built so many spots.
an easement, the question becomes who all was it being granted to? First off,
That's why a use agreement made sense in my mind, because it gives the city the access.
but I don't think that's gonna cut it.
I think it has to be public.
Yeah, I think it kind of is too, which means you are gonna have to go through the process, but I can't think of any other way.
I mean, it's a simple process.
You have builders coming in, right? I mean, you're gonna have prospective buyers coming in. Buyer, yeah, everybody else, I mean, yeah, it sounds public to me.
Again, the problem is that we just need a mechanism for vacating it in the
You
future.
have the vacation process that you can vacate.
Well, and it must be almost guaranteed that it can work once that right of way is dedicated, it's understood.
Listen, you wanted to make that over the middle or the maximum fire length, so you had to provide a turnaround, and this is how you had to do it. I mean, you could put a cul-de-sac there, but obviously that doesn't make sense. So I think this is just the way forward, and it's not unheard of. It's pretty much how everybody else would, any other city would handle it. Yeah. All right.
So I think there's a way, I don't think it stops us tonight, but we want to make sure that it's the legal way to do it in the.
Yeah. So we'll have discussion with the city and we'll find a way that works for the adjacent property owner and the subdivision for the city.
So what, everything you just said can be a.
Yeah, I don't think it doesn't hold anything up. You just gotta get it done before the council meeting and get the document updated.
Yeah, so, well, you know, the thing is, you want it recorded before the council meeting?
I think you need to list the record information
so
that
it has to be
on that
recorded.
plat, so it has to be recorded before that, but that's easy. As long as Tony will sign it.
Tony will sign it, but again, you know, when the wording in that easement document need to be including some way that it would be vacated in the future when the right of way.
That might be your agreement. That would be separate apart from the easement.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So there's a
You could
separate-
enter into some sort of agreement that when you're done. He will,
The easement would vacate.
Exactly, but
That has to
be in the easement.
Wouldn't that have to be a use agreement with the public? Because it's gonna get dedicated as a public.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. On that. Well, so I mean, there's not gonna be utilities, right? I mean, as far as, so with regards to the vacating the easement, it should not be that difficult of a process because we're not dealing with. A lot of the things that we typically deal with.
It's the guarantee. If there's right of way there, there's no need for the access easement, so it can be vacated.
We could do the right of way, but the right of way is only 50 foot, so it cuts through parts of that.
Right.
I wouldn't have a problem to just dedicate the right of way now, but. Again,
I'm saying your guarantee of that easement being vacated is there's no use for that easement once new.
exactly, yes, I
I
know.
think it's just understood.
Yeah, I mean,
I
why
don't
would,
know, I don't know of a way you can make an easement self-destructing when right of way comes through.
Why can it not be something like,
I know how I've done it in Meadville. And I believe this is how I did it.
I'm just thinking a construction easement, it's.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
So why can it not be in the
Is it
easement agreement?
Temporary access easement until public right of way is connected? You guys have to be good with that legally. But I guess that could work.
But typically, we're not on a construction, we're not allowing the general public in.
No, but
right?
it's still a temporary access easement until such time as that property is.
I think a construction even work because there's no connectivity to any public streets other than this is a dead end street. So I think a temporary construction even could work.
Can it just
Because of
be-
the location of, there's no connection north, south or west of it. It's a dead end street. All you're doing is allowing a certain linear footage of access to turn around.
Yes, that would be fine. That would be fine for us. We can change and do that. Temporary.
So I think in the past, Jeff, if we're not allowed a temporary cul-de-sac in subdivision, I think we have like, instead of making them pave it with asphalt and curb and gutter, because they were connecting, we've allowed a temporary access like a cul-de-sac before.
Yes, I think the biggest thing here is it's a different,
It's on a different.
it's on a different property.
Right, but I think it was a construction.
It can't be, a construction easement, it's just to work in that area.
Yeah, right, exactly.
That's more than work. The fire department needs access to that area. I don't think a construction easement covers that.
This is supposed to be phase one of.
Yeah.
This phase,
So the construction to be used for phase one until,
I don't know that I would call it a construction. easement.
I don't
I'm
think,
just thinking a temporary access easement, that word.
yeah, however you want to word it, but yeah.
But
And then it goes
it
away.
could work the same as.
Phase two.
I guess we don't necessarily,
His attorneys, I guess. And see
we
what-
don't have to resolve it tonight, other than the fact that if we all agree that it won't work because of the separate piece of property, then we can put it as part of the approval that they would have to figure out whatever the right wording and language is in order to make that happen.
yeah.
I don't see it being that big of a hardship. Later.
No, I think it's fine. When's the council meeting?
Tuesday.
Susan?
Yeah.
It's doable.
Right, get it done before then.
He was gonna be off the rest of the week, but now he's gonna have to work all week. All right, are there any other questions or comments in regards to the final plats? If not, then I would entertain a motion for subdivision 2018 Timber Ridge Phase 2 final plats.
Thanks, Tony. I make a motion to approve subdivision 20-18 Timber Ridge 2 final plat with the exception of the east side, with the offsite easement.
I like it. This is Joey, a second.
We have a motion and a second. Is anyone opposed? All right, thank you, guys. Good luck. All right, next on the agenda is subdivision 2207 Harbor Manor. Preliminary plat, 11987 Holloway Road. It is zoned R3, 20 acres, 63 single-family lots with 1 detention pond. Is the applicant here to give us an overview?
I'm Rachel Kaler. I'm here for Taylor tonight. He's sick, so he couldn't be here, so I'm representing Crafton Toll. Like you said, this is a single family subdivision. I believe we have 63 lots, 2 tracks, which one of those will be for a drainage pond, detention pond, and the other one will be for a drainage easement. And our adjacent street agreement is also up for approval with this one, which we are proposing in lieu of full or half street improvements on Holloway Road. We're constructing a full city street along our west property line per the master street plan. And then the only improvement that we're proposing on Holloway Road is a 10-foot wide trail or side path. So I'll be here to answer any questions you may have.
I turned it so it faces the right direction. The west side.
So the property is located on the south side of Holloway Road, adjacent to Annika Estates subdivision and west of Hillside subdivision. Thursday Junior High is about 3-4 miles west of the subject property. The subdivision will consist of medium high density, single family residential homes, that is everything was set in the code. Total number of lots is 63 lots, 2 tracks, and 1 detention pond. And by 2 tracks, I mean one's non-buildable and the other is detention pond. The subdivision has access to Centerton utilities, water from Holloway roads and sewer utilities connections from the Annika Estates subdivision. We still have minor comments on the utilities as part of the. Minor plat corrections as well. Drainage on Harbor Manor will consist of 1 detention pond located at the center of the subdivision. With some minor comments by the city engineer remaining. The subdivision will have access from Holloway Road. On the east, towards the east side of the property, and then on the west side of the property, a new right of way will be divided between the west property line. That will be the new optic road, which is designated as a major collector with as per the adjacent street agreement. With so for optic road with the development, 40 feet of right of way dedication and construction of the roadway. The variable width ranging from 27 feet to 37 feet. Will take place along the west property line abutting Annika Estates. The intent is to construct full street improvements in lieu of improvements other than public sidewalk along Holloway Road. Street improvements for the proposed new road will include curb and gutter, 2 5-foot sidewalks, 1 on the east side and the other on the west, street trees, lighting for planning and public works requirements, storm infrastructure, truncated domes and crosswalk striping at the sidewalk crossings. And the road will widen at the north and south ends of the property without the inclusion of a turn for Holloway Road. 45 feet of right of way dedication will take place along the north property line abutting Holloway Road per the master street plan. The 10 foot trail was just mentioned as of earlier with Rachel. Street trees are proposed on Optic Road. But not on Holloway Road. And then as the generating comments revolve planning on additions, corrections to the adjacent street.
Bonds and amounts.
Oh, this one's preliminary.
In there, okay, good.
What width is Holloway right now? The width of Holloway right now?
I think it's 24. But there's variable width, because on the east end. Where Hilldale is, they did widen it. On the west side where it butts to Annika, it's not widened. So that's where here. We're gonna have to go and do the widening on that section anyway. It's more beneficial for us to have the Optic Road full. Than widening on Holloway. And total cost of construction for them is about the same.
How come we're not getting curb and gutter all the way down Holloway
I don't.
as we build and go? Because I mean, we have all these subdivisions approved and it's the main road leading to the school.
And no sidewalk.
Yeah.
Sidewalks, and that's big.
Was Annika. Annika went in before it was all done, so they didn't widen Holloway, didn't curb and gutter.
I can wait.
Well, Hilldale went in first.
No, Hilldale went in first.
They,
Annika was just,
I don't know, I get a little frustrated because we say no curb and gutter here, no curb and gutter here, and then, well, they didn't do it, so now we can't do it here, let's build this street. And we have a main street, you drive down and it's curb and gutter, there's not curb and gutter. So just as a citizen, when I drive around town and I see these main streets and the parents complaining about sidewalks and curb and gutter and everything else, and it's all just piecemealed together. Instead of us just following our standard code for every subdivision and quit doing fee in lieu of. Because you go down by Centerton Gamble, there's curb and gutter, there's not curb and gutter, there's some sidewalk, there's no sidewalk, like. At some point, you just gotta follow the code and it's consistent.
the
And
city,
at the end of the day, when it develops, you'll have it all the way along it.
this one, they are doing a 10-foot sidewalk on.
When we discussed it beforehand, if we go to the half street, you're gonna have for the Optic Road, all you would have is a non-curb and gutter road on that. And then you'd get curb and gutter on Holloway.
But at the end of the day,
And
we're
then we'd still have to come in and
we're
do,
gonna go back and fix it.
that's the thing, we'd have to come back and fix it anyway, it's as we get the funding to do
On their
these
side.
improvements. And that's where,
Go West has been built for 7 years and when are we gonna go put curb and gutter and sidewalks all the way down? I'm sorry, it's just kind of been my soapbox for a while, when you drive around the city. And it's curb and gutter, no curb and gutter, main roads get it, the side roads don't, so.
I agree. We
I
hear
just say, if we just stick to the code on curb and gutter with everything,
side.
as they come in, you get it, right?
So,
yes, but on,
so
on this one,
why can't we do that?
Well, there,
if you do that, you're gonna create a worse situation for the city by not having anything on the other road. That's the
other
problem.
road.
But the main,
Optic, the one that goes northwest, because right now there's no road there at all. Nothing.
but the main road that services most people, that goes from Main Street to Grimsley. There's no sidewalk, and you can go back to the comments, like there's no sidewalk, no curb and gutter. Why can't we, there's no bus routes. How do kids, we have all these subdivisions, they can't even walk down the road to their.
Or yeah, there's sidewalk at Hilldale, none, then we'll have sidewalk here, sidewalk Annika.
But
So I
there's-
mean. It's when, do you just want us to start paying the money? We'll put the sidewalk in, then when they build between here and Hilldale. They'll move it, build it up.
I feel like we make exceptions for everything, and again, I'm not an engineer, I don't see it from your side, but just from a public perception of driving around and being observant. Is like, if it's supposed to have curb and gutter around it, where it's supposed to have it, in a sidewalk, then you do it. But we make all like these exceptions, and you drive around town and there's just missing pieces everywhere.
Ben, I think that I 100% agree with you.
And I don't know the ins and outs, so I'll give you that, but.
I think this is a function of previous decisions that were probably made before most of them, except Devon. Most of us were on here. So
Job.
yeah, and I see what you're saying. In this situation, we would have basically half road on each that didn't serve any sort of purpose at all.
Correct.
If we got both. Now,
The curb and gutter on Holloway, it would go with curb and gutter, then it's short, then it's wider, then it's short, and then it's short.
I understand.
In at least one of them as it is. Yeah, it's going to be easier for us to do both of them at once and have the full road tie into rather than. Full half, full, and then two halves here. So
I guess my question,
filling way more because the other development wouldn't do it.
So I'm with you 100%. Here's the other side of that, is that sidewalks affects drainage. A lot of these curb and gutter, if you don't have curb and gutter, you got an open ditch.
yeah,
Some of these developments now that are going out west are dirt roads. If you just made a carte blanche statement, everything's gonna be built, curb and gutter, everything, you're actually gonna have half a dirt road. With one side curb and gutter. with- And that's only gonna be 11 feet. The other feet will be completely dirt with an open ditch. So that's what I'm not talking about this project. I'm
but
just
just
talking
in
about your
general.
statement in general. If we just carte blanche. That's why there's exceptions to, I guess, the conditions that we put in. But I agree, when whole subdivisions come in, by all means, curb and gutter, it all fits. But the way it got piecemeal, but like I said before, a lot of us got on here, that's what happened. And with previous city employees that allowed things to happen, that probably could have been handled a different way.
makes
That's where we're at now. So, but yeah, just to your point, why can't we just enforce everything? Because there are conditions, each site is unique in a way. But yeah, I think every one of us want sidewalks, curb and gutter. Where it makes sense at.
So how do we, okay, I can't deal with how everybody voted or did before I got here. But like, how can we now start implementing what we're talking about here in a way where it's not gonna cost the city? I'm assuming us long term to go back and
I'm gonna,
either develop it or fix it.
I wanna probably go where Alan's probably about to go, but we already know that we're gonna have to do something on Holloway.
Right.
So I think the thought on this was to take the dollars.
The greatest benefit for the city in this
Put
scenario.
it to the new road, which is the full section. So now there's a full section. Now, the question I have is. What do you do when the subdivision on the west side develops and they don't have to do any street improvements? Or what do you do when a subdivision south of this develops and only does half street improvements?
So if the first one that develops to the south, what they would end up doing is continuing that road on at that width. It's gonna be ditch line, curb and gutter. When the other half goes through, that's when they would curb both sides and do the drainage updates.
So you do full width and then do curb and gutter and.
Yeah, the secondary one goes through and does that. It's. Unless they're both done at the same time, then they would both do the straight half street improvements. Where they build, just one half the road.
Annika dedicated.
All Annika did dedicate right away, but didn't build anything, didn't do anything, so there's just a vacant or open swath of land that nothing was going to happen until this one built or developed.
Okay,
So what do you do to the one to the, I assume it's west, yeah, west of this?
Annika, yeah.
Okay, so it's not gonna get.
this one need that road for their second access. If they do,
Yes,
yes, and so they require. This one is making that requirement, they need that road,
they would have had to anyway with the half street
but
to,
why can they not do curb and gutter along Holloway
if.
and
with-
drainage improvement?
With the options for your half street improvements, if
That's
they put curb and gutter on Holloway. With the drainage improvements,
because
all you have is just asphalt, no curb and gutter, nothing on. Optic road to tie into, and then the city would have to go in and put curb and gutter on both sides of that road going down. With the additional curb,
Because the other one didn't build anything.
the other one didn't build it, yes.
So what do we, this is maybe just a learning note for me. What do we have in place for, okay. Fine, they can't do that right now. We're not ready to do that right now, but what do we have in place for them to be on the hook to come back later to partner with us to do what we need to do to improve it?
On this one, they're not. The cost on these, they gave the cost comparison to say, if they did straight half improvements on both Optic and Holloway, compared to the cost of doing the full improvements on Optic all at one time, with just that on Holloway.
So here's a good,
Here's an undue hardship on them if you said you had to do full street improvements on one and half there.
So here's a good example. So city of Fayetteville right now, my job, we bought a piece of property. It's an underdeveloped part of town. The street is narrow, the people live on it. Okay, but it's an undeveloped street. Okay, it's just got the both sides. We have to build a sidewalk all the way down. We have to widen the street. We have to partner with them to do all the improvements. And it's only gonna go from the main street college up through the end of our property. Does that make sense? So we're on the hook for that. And I guess I don't see how building a subdivision on this is a big road.
Is the city partnering up with you to do the other half? They're not requiring you to do outside of your property, right? They're partnering. I just want to.
They are, because we're developing 1.8 acres and 8 houses along that road. Sewer and the sewer and water don't connect. We have to connect it on our part, but we are going to be required to take our work all the way down to the city now, because we're a nonprofit. The city's going to partner with us to do some cost sharing. That is a little bit different scenario, in this situation. But my point of that is they're thinking like in advance, the rest of the street is not developed, but we're going to go ahead and start with you to develop the street, and then we're going to finish it out as more development comes on the road. And so I guess that's my question is how.
And that's how our typical street is.
How can we move forward with? Because Holloway's a big.
Well, that's what.
They've
Okay,
just
that's my question.
redirected the funds.
Yes.
Instead of building half of Optic,
Yeah.
they're building the full road. Both sides.
Yeah, they're not getting out of it.
That's what I was asking is like. Okay.
That's where I said they submitted the cost analysis between doing the half street on both, which is what we would typically require. Half street improvements on Holloway, half street on Optic. And they did the cost analysis saying, because we already know that Anika's never gonna come in and build their half because they're done. Is that with that cost benefit or with that cost analysis, it's about the same to do a full on Optic and do just the trail on Holloway. So rather than us going in later and doing the other half of Optic, doing all the curb and all the drainage, they're gonna have all of that done and connected. And then we're just gonna have to go back and do Holloway, which we're already have to.
We're gonna have to do anyway.
Anika.
We're gonna have to do anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I just needed a little more clarity and understanding what was.
So I mean, with all these, we do require the adjacent street agreements that define what your half street improvements are, and it gives you 3 options, I think, for the half street would be defined as, so.
Thank you.
About 5% of that was towards this project, and the other 95 was holistic.
One hand for somebody.
While we're on streets, one other question. What's up with the meandering Optic?
So the goal with Optic is you have a 3rd turn lane to go from Optic onto Holloway, left turn and a right turn. And then also with the designation of Optic being a minor collector, the full build out would be 3 lanes with the left turn. But that large swath in the center, there really isn't a need for a 3rd lane. There are no turns. There's enough stacking on Holloway where it's delineated. So they're saving 12 feet of paving for that 200-foot swath in the middle. And they're back to 3 lanes. So they have the turn lane for into them as well as to be extended further south.
Is there utility easement dedicated along this road?
We're still dedicating the full right of way along both sides, or the 30 feet already dedicated by Anika, and then we're dedicating an additional 40 on our side.
Our easements are outside of that, right?
There's an easement.
Right, and then the easement is behind, or Yes, that is, utility easement on the outside.
The overhead's in it right now.
So it lines up with our building setbacks on that frontage.
On lot 44, you have a 40-foot dimension from the center of the road to the setback.
No, I was.
Next to the right of way.
You look, that's just a dimension.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Ah,
From
I thought the
here,
Same thing, when I first looked at it.
here,
And then if you look at the dimension arrows, it
Yeah.
goes from Hatch Smart to the center line.
the arrow is lost in the hatch.
okay.
And just like here,
Need
There.
a little
When I looked, I was like, whoa.
time.
Yeah, I definitely took a double look at that.
Is there any storm sewer on Optic?
We have four inlets proposed. We have two sump points. One about a third to a quarter of the way down from the north side, and then one about the same up from the south side. So this isn't our utility plan, that's shown on our utility plan.
It's rated to drain to the low points and it also collects the outfall from the pond in Annika.
I was just looking for storm boxes on the sheet and I didn't see any. That's
So that's them here on our
Okay.
sheet.
Where were we?
Still going over the preliminary plat for approval.
It's been one of those nights, I think. We'll blame the rain. Are there any additional questions or comments in regards to the preliminary plat?
Witness.
I included all of them.
I know, it's definitely a two-hit hiatus.
Oh, that's you to.
Because on Hop, it's like beautiful.
There is nothing else. Then I would entertain a motion for subdivision 2207 Harbor Manor. The preliminary plat. Which again, as a reminder, is right at 20 acres, 63 single family lots.
This Tony, I make a motion to approve subdivision 2207 Harbor Manor.
This is Ben, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the preliminary plat. Is there anyone who's opposed? Thank you for filling in tonight.
Tell Taylor he owes you one.
Well, I was thinking I on this project. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
thank you all.
Thank you.
And I don't think there's anybody that disagrees with you
Nope.
anytime we drive around town.
We'll
Under
get there
other,
one of these days.
under other business, discuss the rezone from 2231 for HSK homes. This was, the R3 multifamily to R3 duplex, which was approved. It wasn't approved on 2/7, that's today.
Okay,
This is the one we did last meeting.
it is, and I had a concern regarding the approval because the lot was non-conforming to what it was being requested to be zoned to. So what you have included are, I mean, I went to Garber and discussed, and they gave us some recommendations. We need to, of course, amend our code so that it's specific that if there is a single family home built in a multi-family zoning, that they will use the single family setbacks. But until then, to solve this issue, the applicant has requested that the zoning be amended and make the recommendation to council for R3 single family, of which this lot will comply. So, Brian, how do they?
They have to come back.
Because that was set at the last meeting, right? Yeah,
It goes to council.
It has not been to council yet?
No,
And it's
council,
lesser though? Is that what you're,
or lesser.
yeah,
If
It's
it's,
lesser.
if it is lesser, I suspect that we could. Open, it was not tabled.
is it approved?
It was approved.
It was approved because we knew
He said by
the only thing that they could build was a single family.
have to be.
I would have to look at the, I would suspect so.
Combination.
Otherwise, it's going to go to the council. And then
Who knows?
it will probably still have to
Well-
come back for their consideration.
Well, I mean, I think probably the best thing to do would be to, as a separate line item, to make a recommendation for council that they choose a lesser
Consider-
density.
Consider it as a single,
Consider a lesser density and
as the applicant,
they could do it at that point.
The
that way you
applicant
don't-
has already agreed.
Yeah.
push the buck. I like it.
So,
We need a vote. We need a motion
Right.
to do so.
so the motion would be to recommend to council that they consider a single family, which would be lesser, versus the duplex.
I can do. Are we ready?
Absolutely.
This is Joey. I'll make a motion to recommend to council for rezone 22-31 HSK Homes at 376 North D Street. Again, motions to recommend that they consider the rezoning as the applicant has now requested to a lesser intensity. And it also conforms to the code if it is approved as a single family zoning. Does that work?
Go ahead and state what that zoning is.
Oh, I'm sorry, R,
Three.
R3 single family.
Second.
A motion in a second, because this was a public forum, I'll ask Kayla to do another roll call vote for us.
Davis. Devin Murphy.
I'm sitting that one out.
Martin,
That one, so I did on the first time.
Abstain.
You didn't like my motion?
He's not a stain.
Huge.
Ben Lewis,
Yes.
Gary Harris. Brandon Swoboda,
Yes.
Joey Engel,
Yes.
Jeff Safar.
Yes. All right, thank you, guys. Next under other business is this HB 1207 fast track permits, which if you're like me, you've probably gotten a couple emails on it. Is this the latest and greatest, or is this, we got a follow-up today, right?
Yes, we got an update that the owner of the bill, the one that's proposing this bill has will be taking it back and doing some reconsideration on it. Also, on Thursday, there is an advisory board meeting that will be discussed with the Arkansas Municipal League Advisory Board. So they will be discussing this possibly, so we can give you an update on that.
And as of right now, the bill that, no, I was just saying, as of right now, the bill that's in there currently is still as it stands, no changes. That was all I had.
All right, the next council meeting is 2/14. The next planning commission meeting is 2/21. Please let us know if you will not be here. And there is a tech review on 2/23.
Also, the public work, the city council planning commission work session is scheduled for February 28th at 6:00 PM.
There's no snow.
Provided Mother Nature doesn't.
Yeah, so we know we'll get snow that day.
Yeah.
Anything else from staff?
Let me look, hold on real quick. One more.
All right. He's gonna get home in time. I won't, so what's with that?
The cell tower that that planning commission had a public hearing on It's been like a year ago. It has never been written. Written form and taken to council. I'm gonna recommend that it come back with a public hearing and we redo. We just, sorry, y'all.
Can we do the landscaping
I just
code
don't
while
know.
we're at it?
Huh?
Can we do the landscaping code while we're at it?
We've got a development code in draft form, but it's gonna have to go to all the department heads and get the blessing, and then it will come to you.
All right. I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Motion and a second. Is anyone opposed? Thank you guys for quite a crazy meeting.
So Jeff.